Charybdis. Sometimes I wake up to find myself in what I call the void. Like the name implies, it is a feeling of great emptiness, but also of purposelessness and its own brand of despair. It's kind of an existential freefall. Maybe it has to do with something that happened in the dream world, but I can never recall what or even how. I can't use logic to escape the void. I can't rely upon hope. There's nothing that allows me to reason or think my way out. The only trick I have when this happens is to tell myself, against all logic, reason, and emotion, that I won't feel this way forever. I can't explain why I won't or how, but stored somewhere is this memory that I've been here before. The void is familiar in an odd, dark sort of way, like a friend who supports your wallowing. I remind myself that I haven't always been here, and so somehow it will get better again. Something in me knows that I will eventually wake up at the top of the well, above ground. And, like a dream, I will not be sure how I got out, any more than I know how I got there. All I know is that I've been there before and gotten out before, and that is the string that winds itself into the rope that at least allows me to hang on until the mysterious thing shows up to pull me out. Like this mental condition, I'm determined to overcome whatever physical malady has visited me. I just need a walk and an adventure to take my mind off it. I have breakfast in the hotel in the morning, swallowing more cold medicine and an extra cup of coffee. I'm becoming less the cautious newcomer than I was when I landed in Delhi. So when I leave the hotel this time, I have only one agenda: to find a way to get lost. I decide to ease into the day with a Hindi movie, my first. The theater I go to is billed as the biggest in Rajasthan. Turns out this isn't saying much, but it's not short on charm either. The whole affair is an entirely different experience than what we get in the States, which is why you want to travel. From the size of the theater, not exactly the high-ceiling experience we're used to, but more of a high school classroom, to the seats, not cushy, rocky things, but more like static stadium seats. Even the screen looks more suited for junior high auditoriums. One of the most memorable surprises, however, is the popcorn, which is sold in little plastic sandwich baggies like those your mom put in your lunchbox. The movie itself is predictably incomprehensible, given the language barrier. A lot of beautiful, apparently ludicrously wealthy, light-skinned Indians dance and sing and move from one exotic location to the next without reason or explanation. There is an intermission. Then, when you come back and are enjoying another tiny bag of homemade popcorn, something terribly sad happens. Like one of the main characters has to go off to work or sell one of his 3 mansions or something, and there is a great deal of mourning, and his mother apparently feels like she has utterly failed him. But in the end, a long-lost relative shows up, and he must be even more rich or something, and probably gives the family another mansion or fancy hotel. And everyone dances again, and things are shiny and happy once more. At least this is what it looks like to my untrained eyes and ears. Even though I haven't seen that much of India yet, I'm suspicious of where these movies are shot, because nothing I've seen yet looks anything remotely like the lush, well-appointed locations in this movie. At least there is no smoking in the theater, so I'm able to sit in clean air for a couple of hours and give my lungs a break. I hear about a monkey temple in the hills just outside the city that is built around a fresh water spring. I'm in no shape to walk there, but I'd love to get away from the crowds for the rest of the day. I decided to hire a rickshaw, even though I've heard stories of backpackers being left there if the rickshaw driver gets a better offer. I have a surprising number of drivers before one smilingly agrees to take the journey. We set the round-trip price, including an hour wait while I walk around. On the short drive there, the driver is curious about why I want to go to the monkey temple. I tell him mostly I just want to get out of the city, but I could also stand a dose of holy water. He asks if I know the story of the temple. Not really, I say. According to the driver, a saint once spent his whole life here, praying for 100 years in this same spot. Before he died, the gods, pleased with his remarkable penance, blessed this spot with abundant water. He says there are seven natural pools on the temple grounds, and the main one is said never to run out of water. That's a good story, I say. I will take you to the Sun Temple first, he says. It's on the way. The drive into the lush Aravalli Hills is worth the trip all by itself. We pass two groups of women in colorful saris, a sadhu in a bright orange lungi, a wandering foursome of holy cows, and a playful band of children near the Sun Temple who were taking turns pretending to be priests and asking for bakshish. Just off to the left, inside the main entrance to the temple grounds, there's a snake charmer wearing a red turban and playing whatever you call that flute with the bulb in the middle. His cobra dances out of a woven basket sitting in front of him. This is the kind of scene I'm not sure what to do with. On a small scale, it's the same thing as the Taj Mahal. I've seen so many depictions of snake charmers, it almost feels like a cliché. But yet there's an actual dangerous snake sitting within easy striking distance of this man as he casually serenades it. There are not many people here today, and the rickshaw driver has elected to walk around with me and to tell me more stories. I stop to watch the snake charmer. The rickshaw driver patiently waits for a minute. Then he says in my ear, "The poison, it's removed, yes." "What?" I answer. "How do you know?" "They're not making money enough to be every day risking death like this." So, it's not the whole music calms the savage beast kind of thing? Cobras are not hearing music the way you and I enjoy. Also, the snake may be taking doses of bhang for calming. Bhang? Cannabis, you are calling it. Man, what else is not real here? Next you're going to tell me the Indians eat cows. He just looks at me for a long time. Then he finally says, "Some of the cows are not for eating." We tour the different temple structures, including several of the pools, each with its own priest. The rickshaw driver waves off a couple of advances from these keepers. This is called the Monkey Temple, not because it was built as a shrine to the primates, but because it is swarming with extended clans of two kinds of monkeys. And they are quite used to people. One actually has his hand on my shoulder bag before I see him, but my driver runs him off effortlessly. I snap the bag closed and pull it around in front of me, but the monkeys remain curious and close by. When we get to the main pool, a place much larger than I had anticipated, I tell my guide, "I'd like to put my feet in the water." He says, "You'll be talking to him about the bathing," pointing to the priest. I approach the priest sheepishly, offering a 10 rupee bill. Surprisingly, the priest holds up his left hand to stop me and gestures for me to remove my sandals. I do, and with his right hand he swiftly applies a bit of chalky red powder to the middle of my forehead. Then he picks up a smoldering bundle of herbs and blows it on it to get the smoke going. He gently blows some smoke in my face, then swirls it above my head. Afterwards, he bows slightly. The rickshaw driver, watching from a few steps away, says, "You are paying him now." I retrieve the bill, bowing and handing it to him at the same time. Then he opens his hands toward the water, and I walk down a number of stairs and into the pool, about mid-calf deep. No one else is in the pool right now, so I have no social cues to follow. The water is surprisingly cool and also invigorating. Maybe it is holy water after all. I reach down with my hands and splash a little on my face, but in my awkwardness I neglected to take off my shoulder bag, so I have to be careful. I push it around to my back and am able to bend down into the water more easily. I stay in the water for another minute or two, splashing water on my face, over my head, and feeling its cool silkiness on my legs. Then, because I can think of nothing else to do, I slowly ascend the steps again and rejoin the driver. When we climb all the way out of the pool's basin, the sun is beginning to set, giving us another show of color. As the sun begins to fade beneath the horizon, we make our way back to the rickshaw. Before we leave, I crouch down on one knee and reach into my bag for a packet of biscuits. I cup one in my left hand and place another on the open palm of my right, holding it out to a nearby monkey. He rushes over and quickly snatches it from my hand. My driver gives me a frown, but I am too delighted by the bolt of electricity I feel from that brief contact with a wild being to be ashamed. My face breaks into a big smile, which makes even my driver give up his frown to laugh. Then I hold a second one out for the monkey. I hold this one a little tighter between my thumb and forefinger this time. And the electric connection when it is snatched is drawn out just a little longer. This feeling is addicting, but I know I've pushed it as far as I can without my driver, who would like to get back to town before sundown. And so I stand up and join him once more. As we walk back to the rickshaw, I can still feel the monkey's energy pulsing in my hand. Once inside my room, I collapse in my bed again. When I wake a couple of hours later, I try to pull myself up to join the others for dinner on the rooftop, but I don't even make it to the stairs. I'm too weak from my day's adventure, and I can't stop sneezing. I retreat back to my room, and sleep comes almost before I hit the bed.